The night was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that carried weight, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Daniel Ward had lived on the outskirts of town for nearly a decade. His small wooden cabin, tucked against the edge of a sprawling forest, gave him the peace he craved after leaving the chaos of city life. But peace had a way of being disrupted. And that night, it would be shattered in a way he could never have imagined. The beginning, the discovery. It started with a faint sound, almost like the whimper of a child. At first, Daniel thought it was the wind bending through the trees. But as the sound grew clearer, it tugged at his instincts. A soft cry. Fragile. Afraid. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, his boots crunching on the gravel path. The air smelled of pine and damp soil. Following the faint whimper, he moved deeper into the woods, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the darkness. Then he saw her. At the base of an old oak tree sat a small figure, knees drawn up to her chest. She looked no older than 6 or 7, her thin arms wrapped tightly around her body. But it wasn't her size or shape that made Daniel's breath catch. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, a pale bluish hue, as if her body was infused with starlight. Her hair shimmered silver, catching every stray flicker of light, and her eyes were enormous, almond-shaped, glowing a soft violet that seemed to pierce straight into his soul. She was not human. Daniel froze, heart thundering. Every rational part of his brain screamed at him to turn back, to run, to call someone, anyone. But the girl looked up at him with those wide, trembling eyes, and all he saw was fear. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered, kneeling carefully. "I won't hurt you." The girl didn't speak, but she reached out with shaking fingers. Her touch was warm, almost electric. Daniel swallowed hard. He couldn't just leave her there. Whatever she was, she needed help. He scooped her into his arms, surprised at how light she felt, and carried her back to his cabin. That night, the quiet solitude of his life ended forever. The middle, bond and secrets. Over the next few days, Daniel did his best to care for her. She refused food at first, only sipping water, but eventually, she accepted pieces of fruit and bread. She never spoke, though her eyes seemed to understand everything. Sometimes, when Daniel stepped away, he would catch her staring out the window, as if waiting for someone. Other times, she traced strange symbols onto the wooden table with her finger, glowing marks that faded within seconds. "Are you lost?" he asked one evening, crouching down to her level. "Is someone looking for you?" She tilted her head, eyes shimmering with something he couldn't place. Sadness, maybe. Then, for the first time, she whispered a single word, soft and musical. "Home." Daniel felt a pang of guilt. Whatever her home was, it wasn't here. But he had no idea how to help her find it. That night, he dreamed vividly. He saw vast skies filled with twin suns, cities built of crystal towers, and beings of light walking among them. And in the dream, he saw her, the little girl, reaching out to him, whispering words in a language he didn't know but somehow understood. "Don't let them take me." He woke drenched in sweat. The arrival of the women. 3 days after he found her, the knock came. A sharp, deliberate rap at his cabin door. Daniel stiffened. No one ever visited him out here. He glanced at the girl. She sat on the rug, clutching the corner of a blanket, her eyes wide with alarm. She seemed to know before he did. When he opened the door, his breath caught. 2 women stood on his porch. They looked human, at least at first glance. Tall, elegant, dressed in dark coats that shimmered faintly under the porch light. But their eyes gave them away. Violet, glowing just like the girl's. The taller of the 2 stepped forward. Her voice was smooth, calm, but carried an authority that chilled him. "You have something that belongs to us." Daniel's hand tightened on the doorframe. "I don't know what you're talking about." The second woman tilted her head, her gaze sliding past him into the cabin. "The child. She is ours." Daniel's chest tightened. "She's just a little girl. She's scared, alone. Why didn't you come for her sooner?" The women exchanged a look, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. Then the taller one said, because she wasn't meant to be here. She escaped. The word struck him. Escaped? Daniel's eyes flicked to the girl. She had risen to her feet, staring at the women with open terror. Her small hands glowed faintly, as though energy pulsed beneath her skin. She doesn't want to go with you, Daniel said firmly. She has no choice, the woman replied. Her tone remained calm, but her eyes hardened. You don't understand what she is. Keeping her here puts you and your entire world in danger. The truth revealed. The girl suddenly darted forward, clutching Daniel's leg. Her voice trembled but carried enough force to echo in the room.
No.
Not go. Please. Daniel looked down at her, then back at the women. She can speak, and she clearly doesn't want to leave. You owe me an explanation. For the first time, the women hesitated. The taller one sighed, as if weighing a decision. She is not a child as you know one, she said. Her kind are powerful, even at a young age. Too powerful. She was being held until she could be taken back to our world safely. But she escaped. If she loses control, she could tear apart everything around her without meaning to. Daniel shook his head. She's not dangerous. She's just scared. You've seen the marks she leaves, the other woman interjected. Those symbols are not drawings. They are unstable energy constructs. If left unchecked, she could ignite the very air you breathe. Daniel swallowed. He had seen the symbols glow. He had dismissed them as harmless, even beautiful. But now, unease crept into him. Still, when he looked at the girl, clinging to him with tears streaking her glowing cheeks, he couldn't see a monster. He saw a child who needed someone to protect her.
The choice.
The taller woman extended her hand. Give her to us. We will take her home. It is the only way. Daniel's mind raced. He thought of the lonely nights in his cabin, the quiet life he had built. He thought of the girl's frightened eyes, her whispered plea in his dream. Don't let them take me. What if they weren't telling the whole truth? What if home wasn't a place of safety, but a prison? No, Daniel said at last, his voice steady. Not until I know exactly what will happen to her. For the first time, the women's calm demeanor cracked. The second, one narrowed her eyes. You're making a mistake. The girl's body glowed brighter, energy flickering around her like fireflies. The air in the cabin vibrated, and Daniel felt the hair on his arms stand on end. The taller woman's voice sharpened. She cannot stay here. If she bonds to you, it will be irreversible.
Bond?
The word struck him like lightning. He looked down at the girl. She stared back at him, violet eyes pleading. And he understood. The bond had already begun. The ending, a new path. The women moved as one, stepping forward. But the girl raised her hands, and a brilliant wave of light surged outward. The cabin walls shook, the lantern flickered, and Daniel staggered back. The women froze, shielding themselves from the blast of energy. Their forms shimmered, revealing glimpses of their true